Dear students, it's a privilege for me to speak to you from IIT Delhi for the first time as an initiative of IIT PAL, IIT Professor Assisted Learning in Biology. My name is Aditya Mittal. I am a professor of biological sciences at IIT Delhi, and before this the primary lectures that I have given are to a maximum audience of 2000 students. So, it is really a big privilege to be able to speak to more than 50,000, probably lakhs of students for the first time in my life. You must be wondering why IIT PAL is actually doing a series in biology. After all, IITs are associated with physics, chemistry, maths, engineering and technology. What does PAL have to do with biology? So, for that, this will be the first introduction to convince you why biology, the way it is taught at IIT, the way it is thought about at IIT will be useful for you in terms of understanding as well as doing any kind of further or exploring any kind of further activities related to biology. The older IITs, which is Bombay in Mumbai, Delhi, Guwahati, Kanpur, Kharagpur, Madras in Chennai and Roorkee. These IITs have had a long history of always having a biotechnology program. There are other variants which are bio related, a specific branch of chemical engineering which is called biochemical engineering, dealing with production of large scale products from biological processes is also a part of many of these IITs. Biomedical engineering is also a part of many of these IITs, where knowledge of electronics, electrical, mechanical and communications engineering are utilized to create and work on instrumentation which have applications in biomedical field. Over the last 15 years, a major thrust has started occurring on biological sciences as a pure sciences field itself, and therefore, all these old IITs have some major component of biological sciences which is as important as physics, chemistry, maths. One must understand and appreciate that life is almost a miracle. When I use the word almost, the reason I am using it is that using an engineer and a scientist's approach, we are actually targeting that life, we can understand the mysteries of life not just for assistance to our society, but towards understanding and helping all kinds of life forms. A very old collaborator of mine many years ago, probably 15 to 20 years ago, made a very impressive statement on me once. He was, or he is rather, an ecologist. He is the world global leader in saving leatherback turtles, a type of turtle in seas, and these are near extinction. He said, even if one species disappears from our planet, it feels like a page from a dictionary has been taken out, and that hurts. We do not even know that those words existed. Therefore, just for the fact that living systems, whether it is us or any other ones, are important in our system, understanding biology becomes very fascinating. Different living systems are almost like an engineering marvel of nature. Now, when we talk about engineering, we think about production of cars, speakers, maybe cooking devices, a variety of devices. However, we do not realize that 3.8 billion years of natural reactions and interactions have led to production of what we know as life. While maintaining the individuality of each living form, it has also given us groupings of living forms which propagate in groups as one species or another. Therefore, in IITs, one of the basic mantras of doing biological sciences work and teaching and research is understanding biology with the use of technology. For example, till 1940s, we did not know how to see beyond the optical resolution limit of optical resolution limit in terms of seeing objects. For example, wavelength of visible light is 400 to 700 nanometers. Therefore, the best optical resolution I can get lambda by numerical aperture, that would be 400 by approximately 2. So, I cannot actually distinguish between objects which are smaller than 200 nanometer. By 1940s, the first electron microscope had been built, which could actually go up to an angstrom level of resolution to look at objects. However, because it was using electrons and therefore, the resolution was better, therefore, we have actually advanced with technology to be able to see in these small biological systems also. Before 1940s, primarily what we could see was maybe a cell like your red blood cell, which is about 6 microns in size, a yeast cell, maybe a bacterial cell which was also more than 200 nanometers big. So, with technology we have been able to understand biology through a variety of aspects. Further, being at IIT, biology provides us fascinating examples of designs which are robust. As an example, if you look at this particular organism which is shown in this thing, it looks like a lizard, what we call as girgit in India. Now, this lizard can survive in very dry, arid environment without availability of water most of the time. Okay. This picture, by the way, is taken from one of the most barren lands in Ladakh, and this lizard is considered to be very auspicious by Ladakhis because it has got a orange band around its neck. So, how does it survive? That is the question. If we can understand it, well, we can actually also learn how we can survive or try to survive, or what kind of innovations we can make to actually help survival in such arid conditions. As a result of this interest in biology and this importance of biology, you will be surprised to know that biology is now a core course for all incoming undergraduates at IIT Delhi. Just like physics, chemistry and mathematics are taught in the first year, so that students have the right quantitative skills to be able to be best engineers and technologists in the world, now biology is actually taught to them. And one major aspect of biology which will break your myth about biology is that these students of biology are given open book, open notes, open web examinations. That means the understanding of biology, the teaching is emphasizing primarily on logical thinking towards how to actually explore biology. From a student's perspective, so far what you heard was from a faculty's perspective, that is mine. From a student's perspective, let us take a look. We opened the School of Biological Sciences at IIT Delhi in 2008 December officially. We started operating from a building in 2009, and we started floating elective courses which students could choose just so that they could get introduced to biology before it became a core course. These are 3 examples of students who worked individually with me in the School of Biological Sciences in the year 2012, 13 and 15. They are top JEE rankers, that means their physics, chemistry, maths is fantastic. They are hard working, they are very sincere. Swapnil Jain, he did a research study with me on biological data informatics. This fellow was highlighted in Times of India for procuring one of the best jobs in his batch. Deepak Vashisht, he was the institute topper, that means about 800 to 1000 undergraduate students who graduate from IIT Delhi. In 2013, he got the President's Gold Medalist. He was the top student of IIT Delhi. He is currently doing a PhD abroad. He worked with me on understanding movement of small biological systems. What you see in this slide where I am pointing the pointer, that is a series of bacterial cells, a group of bacterial cells that have been imaged using a light microscope. And he looked at how these bacterial cells move, how do they know, using computer algorithms that he developed. The third example is Sarang Sunilnath. He actually took it a notch further. Instead of doing a small research study, he ended up getting a degree of BTech in engineering along with a minor year specialization in biological sciences. In this minor area specialization, Sarang ended up doing lots of courses in biology and he ended up doing specific research projects also. Sarang is also currently pursuing a PhD and he was also a President Gold Medalist in IIT Delhi. As a result of exploration of biology which the students at IIT Delhi did not know, which I am sure is common with you so far, they started enjoying biology so much that biology education was recognized at IIT Delhi in 2015 with a Teaching Excellence Award. Now, one of the important parts which I want to highlight in terms of your understanding of reputation of IITs also is that it is not that IITs are now famous only for engineering and technology. What you see is a graphic which shows that IIT Delhi is ranked in the top 200 academic institutions of the world. This is 50 plus years of establishment of IIT Delhi and we are the top 200. We want to do better, as you all know, even the President of India is looking at us to do better. We are trying. Having said that, we must also look at that we are classified as one of the top 50 institutions in the world in engineering and technology. This is after 50 plus years of establishment of IITs and IIT Delhi. Within 8 years of establishment of School of Biological Sciences, we have managed to break the barrier of rankings and actually come within the top 400 institutions of the world doing biology. That is remarkable. It is the ethos, it is the culture of understanding and approaching a subject applied from engineering to biological sciences through faculty, which has actually resulted in this great effort. We of course aspire to go much higher, but what I want you to notice is that before 2015 IIT Delhi was not even ranked in biological sciences ever. As I shared with you, 2009 we started operating formally. Within 7 to 8 years, actually getting a rank as well as becoming in top 400 is a remarkable achievement, and it is with the help of the way of thinking of IITs that biology is also making inroads. I also want to share this slide with you in terms of how biology compares to other sciences at IIT Delhi, for which you are going to be looking at instructions through IIT PAL. IIT Delhi is ranked with the top 250 in physics, in the top 200 in chemistry, in the top 200 in mathematics in the world. These are global rankings. And by the way, I also wish to share with you that IIT Delhi and IITs in general, the faculty have some of the highest teaching loads across the world compared to similar institutions. And the rankings which you are seeing of top 200, top 250, top 400, they are primarily coming because of parameters that involve faculty research, the kind of research faculty is doing and how it is viewed by the world. So, compared to other sciences, other IIT PAL initiatives also, biology is not doing that bad, and we are hoping that this will actually improve as time goes on. So, this should also give you motivation of why you should look at IIT PAL lectures for biology in terms of not only exciting you towards biology, but also allowing you to learn and see the way you can develop an independent thought process of your own to contribute further in life sciences. Finally, regarding why IIT PAL for biology, I would like to re-emphasize the fact there is an ethos and a culture of the IIT system which has been evolving as a paradigm for excellence in higher education. The primary reason for that is there is a very old saying that if you are hungry and if I feed you with food, then I am actually quenching your hunger for one time. However, if you are hungry and if I educate you how to produce your food, then you will be actually set for a lifetime. This is how we actually emphasize teaching at IIT. Our teaching is coupled with solid research done by most faculty involved here. The approach we have developed over the last 50 plus years in IITs for balancing UG and undergraduate engineering and technology education with cutting edge research, so that when our students go out to globally top competent institutions, they end up realizing that their faculty is pretty much at par with the faculty which is existing in other institutions. Now, that gives us the confidence in the word pedagogy. The pedagogy we follow at IITs for teaching emphasizes on conceptual learning. It is saying that concepts are more important rather than rote learning. IITs are known to their students for examinations that are open book, open notes, in which the student has to think and analyze rather than memorize certain formula and apply them. And believe it or not, biology understanding is possible exactly like that also. It is a myth now that in this world of Google, where you can go and sit on a computer and Google any term, that you have to memorize things. If you know the concept, you will be able to find the right information and right data and convert it into information for your use in the correct way. Here I also wish to highlight a non-biological aspect of education which is specific to IITs in India, that education is not treated as literacy. The big picture has to be seen by every student by the time they graduate from here. That is our goal. That means, if a particular application is being developed, only going into writing code for that or building a machine for that is not important enough, is not good enough. You have to know where things can expand, you have to know what limitations can be foreseen, and you have to build in the big picture of where would be the place of this concept or this innovation or this instrument in society. Therefore, it is a sincere hope that IIT PAL Biology initiative will assist in improving general biology education in the country. Now, in this regard, I also wish to emphasize that IIT PAL initiative is focused towards class 11th and 12th of the NCERT curriculum, CBSE curriculum. Therefore, we will be taking assistance from some of the handpicked and best teachers from Kendriya Vidyalayas to assist in helping you and helping us understand the class 11th and 12th curriculum in biology in further lectures. Now, let me come to the specific case of IIT Delhi, and what I have written here is the specific case of a biological revolution at IIT Delhi. However, the revolution is almost evolution also. Revolution is something where we force something to happen. However, at IIT Delhi, this inroads biology has been making over the years is more like an evolution itself also, other than revolution. When I say evolution, that means just like in nature for 3.8 billion years, we have been evolving as life forms. The subject of biology has evolved at IIT Delhi in that form. De novo evolution happened of biology at IIT Delhi. De novo means right from scratch. That means there is no forming element that you can see that wants to come together. It just happens. This is a biological term. You will come across this when further NCERT lectures are covered for you for class 11th and 12th. IIT Delhi started in 1961. In 1965, we had the first faculty of engineering, which was primarily at that time electrical and mechanical, along with physics, chemistry and mathematics. Now, what figure you are seeing here is an interesting figure also. The cell, the first cell as we think of biology or life on this earth, appeared around 3.8 billion years ago, as I have said earlier, and that was supposed to have some chemical which we today, in today's world, we call it the genome. Okay. Mirroring that, we had a faculty which was mirroring engineering genome of IIT Delhi. With time, IIT Delhi has started absorbing more physics, chemistry and maths teachers for the requirement of teaching basics physics, chemistry and maths. Now, when you talk about physics, chemistry and maths, you may be surprised to know that a lot of famous physics, chemistry and maths researchers and teachers across the world actually are famous for their contributions to biology. As an example, simplest example which you all will relate with is Professor Hardy, who was the mentor of our own Ramanujan, who is actually known as one of the best mathematicians in the world. Professor Hardy came to be known for his remarkable contributions in biology, which will be covered in your ecology and evolution chapters, for the Hardy-Weinberg principle of defining populations which are not evolving in biological systems. So, just like that, we had chemistry faculty who were interested in biology. They were absorbed into IIT Delhi and they started forming energy powerhouses, just like a cell, energy powerhouses towards doing biological research at IIT Delhi. From 1965 to 2010 onwards, we had a full-fledged chemistry department which was working, having divisions of biology working on them. We had a biochemical engineering department, we had a center for biomedical engineering, and of course, I told you we had a school of biological sciences. IIT Delhi is also the host of one of the top computational biology facilities called supercomputing in computational biology in India. I will discuss more about that in the coming slides. Today, where is IIT Delhi standing? Well, IIT Delhi is now like a full grown proper cell of modern times, the cells which make you and me, where the nucleus of the cell is formed essentially by all faculty combined, and individual divisions interact with that nucleus to do interdisciplinary research, where you need to know maths, you need to know physics, you need to know chemistry, you need to know engineering to be able to understand biology as well as to be able to apply technology to understand biology. There are several bio based academic programs at IIT Delhi. We started earlier by having short courses in which people from industry would come and learn about, let us say, production of some enzymes, some small products, some food products, food packaging, filtration of milk, things like that. We had small programs like that for production of cells, for production of technical manpower required in life sciences application industry field. Over the years, what we now have are BTech degree, MTech degree in different fields of engineering, and PhD and MS research are there for all fields of biological sciences and engineering. Therefore, summarizing the biological evolution at IIT Delhi, one of the key things, and this is by the way true in and not in full entirety, but in most entirety for all IITs, where life sciences education is now becoming an integral part of engineering education. It will assist us in human resource development in biological engineering and sciences. It will assist us in creation of processes that are eco-friendly and can be done without using harsh conditions like high temperature, high pressure, but using normal ambient conditions. Have you ever seen a fungus or a bacteria eat your bread and the bread gets burnt? No, they are able to actually do these transitions at normal room temperature. Well, what can we learn to carry out chemical transformations for the benefit of not just humankind, but life in general towards these applications? Of course, affordable healthcare for our human society, in which process development, creation of working prototypes for Indian conditions and technology solutions. When I say Indian conditions, by the way, we have a very unique tropical kind of planet, type of climate, in which we are essentially looking at extreme heat and extreme colds, and therefore, all kinds of imported prototypes do not work in this country. So, we have to actually create solutions that can be implemented based on our country. Now, coupled with this, one of the most important things which has emerged in the last 20 years, if you look at all developed nations and all top countries of the world with top institutions which are ranked higher than, let us say, IITs and IIT Delhi in particular, you will find that they have over 200 years of advance on us in terms of doing blue sky or basic research, where development of a concept is important regardless of whether that concept has application today, tomorrow, or one never knows. This appreciation for basic sciences has started coming in India now, and it is very important that the kind of autonomy which is given to institutions like IITs and ISC Bangalore in terms of carrying out free research to develop concepts is carried out, especially in life sciences, if we want to be leaders in the future. If we are going to take or import concepts from across the country or across the border, from anywhere in the world, we will always be lagging behind in developing technology solutions using those concepts. We must emphasize on developing concepts. Here I would like to reiterate something, that creation of a device solves a particular purpose. However, development of a new concept advances the whole of humankind in terms of not just understanding life, but the universe around us in general. Remember, our ancestors were monkeys. Our species evolved into what we are today and as probably the most powerful species on this planet, simply because we were curious about the world around us and we started finding applications from that curiosity. As an example, IIT Delhi was the first ever academic institution in the country to have a 1000 kiloliter reactor for process development, and this was a prototype pilot plant which was set up here in the Department of Biochemical Engineering for fermentation of a variety of things like antibiotics, polymers, alcohol, and therefore, IIT Delhi has been the leader in terms of setting up facilities as well as operating them for applicational purposes. Similarly, IIT Delhi has been involved in providing affordable healthcare solutions from a variety of for a variety of purposes within India rather than exporting them outside. As an example, one of the latest finds at IIT Delhi, if you go to the IIT Delhi website, you will actually see it. There is a hip protector which has actually been developed at IIT Delhi from mechanical engineering department, which will allow prevention of hip injuries in elderly people. In terms of technology solutions, this is what I was referring to earlier. The supercomputing facility for bioinformatics and computational biology at IIT Delhi is one of the top facilities in India for doing computational biology research. Now, everybody is aware, especially in the Indian environment and context, that working on animals is not considered to be good. One can argue about this in terms of a policy matter, but from a scientist perspective, in absence of doing so and in presence of so much data on biology, computers become an essential part. Analyzing that data, working on applications where one can actually look at biology and understand biology on a computer becomes very important. For this, the supercomputing facility of biology was developed here by B. Jairam, who was in the chemistry department, but who was one of the co-founders along with me for the School of Biological Sciences at IIT Delhi. And B. Jairam and his group over the years have evolved some interesting technology solutions, and they have named them appropriately as Bhagirath, Sanjeevani for understanding biological molecules. For example, Bhagirath is a software which actually is able to tell you or tell us whether a protein is doing its job correctly or not, whether a protein is going to do a particular job or not. Sanjeevani is going to find if a particular drug can actually work on a particular disease on a specific protein or not. These are softwares created at IIT Delhi. The softwares are developed obviously with large machines that have to handle a large amount of data coming from various biological sources. This data is then analyzed, then technology is applied in terms of chemical principles based on chemical logic of life, and I am proud to share with you that this facility is considered as one of the top 10 facilities in the world for predicting protein structures. How does a protein work in terms of its structure? These are not just academic in nature. A company floated by PhD students of IIT Delhi called Lead Invent is independently operating out of IIT Delhi successfully for the last more than 10 years now. A company opened by a joint PhD student between me and Jairam called Nova Informatics has gone out of IIT Delhi a couple of years ago and has won several national awards for actually having developed applications in computational biology. Therefore, biological revolution at IIT Delhi has essentially happened through an evolution of interest in biology and appreciation of interest in biology through its faculty members, which is now propagating towards students. And like any other IIT faculty, I represent one of hundreds of IIT faculty at IIT Delhi. Like any other IIT faculty, while we are very used to reading and keeping up to date with a lot of literature, none of our lectures are complete without inputs which we have made into those textbooks or those development of those concepts. So, very briefly in the next few minutes, I will actually describe some of the efforts of research in my research group at IIT Delhi. From understanding, so to me curiosity and development of a concept is more important as an individual. So, to me, I am curious about how biological molecules work. How do these molecules assemble to perform the same work which was being done 3.8 billion years ago and it is still being done now? How do these molecules combine to form different kinds of life forms? This is what I call self assembly. And as an example of self assembly, I want to share with you, dear students, that it is not that you do not get satisfaction. Maybe once in 10 years one can get a eureka moment. However, once in a while, when you are used to looking at magazines in which pictures of film stars come, for us scientists and teachers, what's important is when we look at a scientific journal which is read by people who are specialists in the field and your research work is highlighted on the cover of that journal, that is like a picture of a film star. Fortunately, our research from protein folding to development of worms to creation of nanomagnets inside bacterial cells, nanomagnets, 30 nanometer magnets can be created by bacterial cells. The way you and me, we eat spinach to get iron as a nutrient out of them, well, these bacterial cells, we feed them iron and they are able to make magnets. This research was the first of its kind in India where it was done and it got a lot of publicity also. These pictures which you see are nanomagnets, and sometimes you get funny looking bacteria producing nanomagnets that look like mermaids also. There is so much beauty in biology to be explored. More recently, with the help of my PhD students, we have managed to discover some very interesting facts about origin of living cells in the first place, along with understanding signatures of how these cells from one to the other with a collection of 1 cell, 2 cells, 3 cells, 4 cells and so on make complex organisms. The word complex is an interesting word and we will, as we go on in IIT PAL series, we will try to make the word complex into a simpler one from you with the help of course KV teachers in terms of that. So, what is the model that we are going to be using for starting how to learn biology? The teaching learning model we will be using for this IIT PAL. In the IIT system, one of the most important aspects is the student teacher interaction. In fact, if you look at the setting up of IITs, it is the concept of Gurukul, where teachers and students live together in a campus and they learn from each other 24/7, that means 24 hours in a day, 7 days a week. In the same way, since we are reaching out to you for the first time, we basically have designed the IIT PAL biology in this format. First, there will be a segment called Know Your Teachers. This basically will be the respected KV teachers which we have actually involved in this activity. We are a small team of 6 people right now and they will introduce to you why they love biology, what makes them interested in biology. In fact, you will find that the inspiration to become a biology teacher is far beyond just being interested in being a teacher itself. It is biology which got them into teaching. So, first they will discuss what interests them, which made them into a biology teacher. Now, this is important because every time you open a textbook or even a reference book or a storybook, there is always a foreword or a preface which is given in front of the book for you to understand the importance of what is going to be happening in the book. So, treating these lectures like an online book or a telecasted book, this would be like a preface for you. Then these teachers will also in that introduction talk to you about what are the most exciting questions they find in biology. In other words, they are not just teaching, these teachers are handpicked top teachers from NCR region of Kendriya Vidyalayas. Right now, as I mentioned earlier, we are a small group, but I am hoping that once this telecast begins and this telecast spreads forward, more and more enthusiastic and interested teachers will come forward, they will join the team and this will become a nationwide exercise. So, these teachers of ours today, they will actually share with you what excites them in biology, what questions excite them, and you will be surprised to see that many of these questions are a part of your NCERT curriculum also. Some of them are unanswered and some of them the answers are very fascinating to discuss. So, those teachers will actually be first discussing what are those exciting questions for them towards you. Finally, each of these teachers will request you to think. The whole purpose of IIT PAL is, as I mentioned earlier also, is to make sure that you go away from rote learning where you have to memorize things into a conceptual understanding and develop an insight which is conceptual into biology. For that, without worrying about grades or marks, you have never been able to give a thought to questions in biology. These teachers will actually introduce you to some of those questions, that why do not you think about these questions in terms of not marks, not grades, but either application of biology or how biology can take us further forward in our lives. Now, mind you, we have actually developed this model after a lot of debate in terms of the teaching learning model for IIT PAL, and by no means this model is the perfect model. In fact, I am absolutely convinced that since we are talking to you for the first time, we will make mistakes. However, it is our hope that this IIT PAL exercise, professor assisted learning, will actually change the whole paradigm of teacher student relationship and how teaching is done in our country. As a matter of fact, one important aspect here is that we are very hopeful that after looking at our mistakes in these modules, not just students but teachers across the country will send us feedback, out of which some teachers will express their willingness to join this effort in terms of spreading biology education across the country. So, in that regard, again I want to re-emphasize that the Know Your Teacher module, which will involve maybe 15 to 30 minutes of introduction and discussion by each of the teachers involved so far, would be for you to actually see how much passion there is for teaching biology and learning biology in these teachers. They are not there to just make you memorize concepts in biology. The first lecture in this series would be provided by me, in which I will basically go into the basics and background of science in general, which you have been taught so far, which are important for you to appreciate before you go into biology. One important aspect, for example, is that till class 10th you have been doing general science as a subject. Now, all of a sudden that science is divided into physics, chemistry, mathematics and biology. As I mentioned in the earlier part of my lecture, the important aspect here is that biology is not a field by itself anymore. You have a combination of physics, chemistry and mathematics which are important to biology, and all these fields are now interconnected to each other. So, understanding some basic concepts of general science and revising them is very important before we actually move to understanding real biology of this thing. What would we be covering for these things? Well, the subsequent lectures would be taken by KV teachers with an IIT professor. For now it will be me. coming once in a while in between to summarize and provide you the big picture, a comprehensive conceptual picture of the lesson which is being provided by KV teachers. Now, why are we doing this like that? Why are we following this approach? One of the prime reasons for that is that IIT professors are trained in trying to do cutting edge research while teaching undergraduates who have a minimal level of quantitative preparation, which is already done by these excellent KV teachers and other 11th and 12th teachers across the country. Therefore, the ability to communicate the NCERT class 11th and 12th curriculum is by far an expertise and a domain of the class 11th and 12th teachers. And therefore, we will be doing comprehensive studies of the CBSE biology curriculum using NCERT class 11th and class 12th, along with analytical exercises developed by us, that is the team of IIT professors and class 11th and 12th teachers who will be taking these lectures for you. Finally, I want to end my introduction with once again requesting you to assist in improvement of this project through your feedback. As I said, I am repeating it again, this is the first time such kind of an exercise is being carried out in India, and this student teacher classroom will hopefully blossom into a nationwide exercise, but it will not blossom without your participation as students. And more importantly, we would also be very enthused if other class 11, 12 teachers, not limited to KVs only, but other schools also, if they come forward and they think that they can contribute in a better or a different way towards going for this exercise. Therefore, with this I end this session of introduction. Now, a series of lectures will follow in which Know Your Teacher module will start, where each of the teachers currently involved in the team will introduce themselves, and then they will try to excite you about what makes them interested in biology and what questions you can think about in biology without worrying about your exams or grades or marks. Thank you very much.